Welcome to the second episode of Film Talk Football. I'm Russell Nelson.
And I'm Turner Keck.
We're going to be going over Week 3 and taking a look ahead at Week 4. First up, Week 3, Steelers-Browns, Thursday Night Football. What are your thoughts?
That was the mid-off. It was the mid-off. But the Browns defense did kind of bail me out with that garbage time touchdown.
The backdoor cover, as some would say.
Because it gave me bonus fantasy points, and I needed that apparently this week.
Trubisky did not look good.
No.
Trubisky missed Deontay Johnson open plenty of times.
Kenny Pickett will be starting soon.
Kenny Pickett, it's looking more like Kenny Pickett time. Next, we have the Jaguars and the Chargers.
Herbert looks really hurt. Like, you could just see it in the way he was throwing and the fact that he was scared to move, that his ribs are very much bothering him.
Yeah, and his line is depleting now.
With Rashawn Slater with the torn bicep, he's gone for the season.
Mm-hmm.
My little sleeper Chargers pick could start falling apart here.
I think just a little bit. They're 1-2. I believe they're in last place in the AFC
Wrong.
West. No, the Raiders. Raiders are in last. Chargers are in third. The Jaguars are second in the league in point differential.
They're kind of good now that they don't have Urban Meyer.
They look very good, actually. Trevor Lawrence had his make-or-break game. Or not necessarily. He had his breakout game.
Yeah, I was going to say. It wasn't like a make-or-break, but...
And I think the Jaguars might do pretty well for themselves this season. I think they might honestly work themselves into a wild card if they continue playing like this.
You could see it.
The Cardinals and the Rams. The Cardinals look bad. Kyler Murray looks bad. They were rushed the entire game. They did not look like they had a single confident and composed offensive drive. Kyler Murray has just not been himself at all this year.
No. And James Conner keeps getting hurt, which is really screwing me on fantasy.
I think Cliff Kingsbury is on the hot seat starting this week. I think if they continue to lose, he might be out of a job.
Yeah, probably.
And then we get to Sunday night primetime, the punt game of the year, 49ers
If you
versus
really,
Broncos.
really, really like watching punters do things.
Pat McAfee had a field day.
Yeah, Pat McAfee had a great day watching that game. The rest of America did not. As Connor calls him, Russell Wilson kind of sucks right now.
He does. He literally had one drive that looked somewhat remotely close to what we're used to with him.
He got out quarterback.
Hold on, say that again. Because Russell Wilson led them down the field last 2 minutes in the 2-minute drill and got a game-winning touchdown. So that was really the only drive that he looked like himself. But other than that, the Broncos looked disheveled.
They were bailed out by Jimmy Garoppolo giving Dan Orlovsky the break of his entire life by stepping out the back of the end zone and also doing the same thing. And we thought Connor was a psychic because of that, but he looked at ESPN.
Next, we have Packers-Bucks. Both Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are getting such a slow start. It's kind of a little weird not seeing them at the top of the leaderboards for passing. But both of them are 2-1.
I saw a thing today, actually. The top 5 leaders in passing, it's like Allen, Tua, Lamar, Herbert, and then Joe Flacco.
Donnie Trump was right. Joe Flacco is still elite. Then we have the Eagles versus the Commanders. The Commanders look terrible. Like, absolutely terrible.
Eagles also looked really good.
Devontae Smith
I'll go into more detail about the Eagles.
Devontae Smith is him.
Later. I actually have them written down.
I believe he had 7 catches for 160
He had 30
yards
fantasy
and a
points
touchdown.
on my bench.
Yeah, he's him. The Colts. The Colts did not beat the Jaguars, and who was it?
Somebody else who's not very good at football. But they did beat the Chiefs. And I was actually at B-Dubs with my family when that happened. There were some very, very happy Indianans.
The Colts tied the Texans and lost to the Jaguars and then proceeded to beat the Chiefs at home. They got shut out against
By
the
the
Jaguars.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's all that needs to be said. But with that, Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy were getting into a feud a little bit, and LaShawn McCoy had chimed in. He said that Eric Bieniemy has no idea what he's doing.
Put a
He's
screenshot
just,
of the tweet.
I will. He said he has no idea what he's doing. He's just arguing with players and doesn't know how to call plays. So for those of you wondering why Bieniemy hasn't necessarily gotten a head coaching job the past few years, I think
This could be why.
that definitely could be why. Bears Texans, both of them looked pretty crap. Justin Fields is horrendous looking so far this season.
Our resident Bears fan, Connor, is not here, obviously, but he said that they did not deserve to win that game, and he's worried that the Bears wasted a first-round pick on Justin Fields.
They were definitely bailed out by defense and kicking.
Ironic.
There's been rumblings that the Bears might force a quarterback change if Justin Fields doesn't dramatically improve, which
Who even
is
the Bears' backup? Behind Justin Fields is Trevor Siemian.
Then we have the Giants against the Cowboys Monday night.
The New York Fraud Giants.
The
New York Fraud Giants.
It's truly painful to talk about. Daniel Jones played his ass off. He looked really good in the pocket. He made a bunch of plays himself.
He played really good until that game-ending interception.
His receiver slipped and fell.
He should have seen that.
He threw. It's a preemptive throw. You got to throw.
I know. I just have to hate on the Giants.
The Giants
And Sterling
really
Shepard
need,
is done.
All right. Yeah, here's where I go off on my tangent. Turf needs to be banned. There's studies done from 2012 to 2018. They collected data on injuries, and players had a 28% higher non-contact injury rate playing on turf rather than grass. And of those non-contact injuries, players have a 32% higher chance of knee injuries on turf and a 69% of higher rate of foot or ankle injuries on turf. So I don't understand why billion-dollar franchises are still risking their players' health just to not maintain a grass field.
Yeah.
You're investing in your players. You should most definitely make it safest for them to be out there every week. So Sterling Shepard, I love you. Prayers up.
Falcons-Seahawks. Falcons won 27-23. Marcus Mariota did pretty solid. Cordero Patterson came back like Cordero Patterson. 141 rushing yards and a touchdown and 1 reception. That was kind of weird. Geno Smith clearly didn't call back because 2 touchdowns and a pick. Not bad.
He's looked pretty good this year so far.
The running back committee, Rashad Penny still getting most of the carries. Hopefully Kenneth Walker will.
Kenneth Walker's been making plays. He's
get
going
up there.
to start getting more snaps.
And then DK had a pretty insane touchdown. Jets-Bengals. Joe Burrow finally looked good again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the stats because it's impossible to find.
I know
the stats on Sauce Gardner.
I know Burrow was sacked 4 times.
But I also know Sauce Gardner locked up Jamar Chase pretty well.
When Sauce Gardner was lined up against Jamar Chase, he had 10 coverage snaps, 1 pass defensed, and 0 catches allowed.
But
So
the rest of the defense for the Jets kind of sucked because Tyler Boyd got 4 receptions for a lot of yards, 105 to be exact.
mm-hmm.
And then Raiders-Titans. I think the Raiders are just bad.
The Raiders are always hot and cold, and they're cold right now. They have so much talent, but
They
never
lost
can
to a
put it
team
together.
who lost to the Giants. That's all I have to say about that game. Pats-Ravens. Patriots lost. Mac Jones. I didn't
Mac
see
Jones
the high
is
ankle
done
sprain,
for at least
but
6 weeks.
I know it was bad because I've seen videos of him getting carried off the field screaming.
He's done for at least 6 weeks. The The Patriots are not looking good right now. For the AFC East, they got the Bills and the Dolphins that they have to compete with, and the Jets aren't an easy win anymore. So I think the Patriots might finish last.
Jameis Winston's on his way to a possible 30-30 season. I mean, the Saints just don't look very good right now either. Chris Olave looks good.
The Saints are missing Sean Payton. I think that's one of the biggest differences.
And
for
then
them.
the Panthers are all right. I mean, they're the Panthers. They're not anything special. They have a receiving room of people I didn't know were receivers. Shea Smith. Their leading receiver had 2 catches for 90 yards. Laviska Shenault.
Former Jaguar.
And then the Vikings and the Lions. Jeff Okudah looked really good.
Jeff Okudah's been playing his ass off this year. He is finally living up.
The Lions in live action fumbled.
Yeah. Lioned.
And then the Dolphins-Bills. That was a sloppy game. Somehow it was a lot of yards, not a lot of points. It was sloppy.
The Bills choked it offensively.
The Dolphins got a good defensive win. They did get a little lucky that the Bills kind of forgot about the clock and didn't get out of bounds.
The Bills did that twice. They did it right before half and right at the end of the game.
There was the funny butt punt.
The butt punt.
That's actually how it's listed in my notes. Is just funny butt punt. And Tua, I'm glad he came back. He should not have been allowed to come back.
Tua's so-called concussion protocol is under investigation by the NFL Players Association because there's no way Tua should have came back into the game. He fell back down after standing for a second or two. And this week he's listed as questionable with a back injury.
But the Dolphins look pretty good for once.
The Dolphins are ranked number 1 in some power rankings. They look very good.
And the other number 1 team in a lot of power rankings is the Eagles. Jalen Hurts looks legitimately like he could be an MVP.
I think the Eagles are good, but this may be a little biased as a Giants fan. I don't think they're number 1 in any scenario.
Jalen Hurts in the regular season in 3 games has 916 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 pick with a 106 passer rating.
He also has tons of rushing yards. Who are his 3 opponents?
Commanders, Vikings, Lions. So
not the best opponents. That's part of the reason I don't think that
you are a Giants fan. You have
they're
played
not
like
necessarily
50 worst teams in football. 160 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. But I don't feel like the Commanders, the Lions, or Minnesota are all that bad. They're just not all that good.
Yeah, now the Lions actually are a very competitive team this year. Dan Campbell's
Vikings.
my favorite coach in the NFL.
And then, so next week, my games of the week, Miami versus Cincinnati on Thursday. Unfortunately, it's in Cincinnati, which kind of sucks because it's in Ohio. But anyways, that's a topic for another time. It's going to be an all-time uniform battle because the Bengals are bringing out their all-whites and the Dolphins are wearing their always clean uniforms.
I'm so glad the NFL's finally loosening the jersey restrictions.
But that's going to be a good Thursday night game with Joe Burrow and Tua. Hopefully Tua. And I think the Bengals are a lot better than, what is it, like 2-1, I think they're 1-2. They're a lot better than 1-2 says.
If they can protect Burrow at all, I know the Dolphins are a good team at getting to the quarterback. If they can protect Burrow, then it's going to be a good game. If they can't, then I think the Dolphins may blow them out.
And then the Bills-Ravens in Baltimore. Josh Allen's going to want to bounce back. He looked very disgruntled after that loss. And Lamar's been playing at a very good level this year.
Mm-hmm. Both of them have pretty good defenses, and like you said, both of them have
very good offenses.
Electric quarterbacks, so that should be a very entertaining game to watch. The Chargers needs to bounce back. They just took a terrible loss to the Jaguars. I don't know if Justin Herbert's going to play this week. I probably wouldn't play him. I would sit him so that he can get back to himself. Bears, Giants, that is going to be a dogfight. No offense, most likely, if it's anything like we've seen from the teams this season. Seahawks, Lions. I think the Lions are going to win that one. I don't know why. I just have that gut feeling. I think the Lions should have more wins than they do. Geno Smith has been playing well, so we'll see how the Lions defense plays. Jaguars, Eagles. I think that's an interesting matchup because you have Trevor Lawrence, who's been on a tear, and the Jaguars, who are hot against the top-ranked team, the Eagles, and Jalen Hurts. So we'll see how
That'll
that
be
goes.
a game to watch for sure.
Yeah. Jets, Steelers. I think this is a make or break game for Trubisky.
God, that's going to be such a boring football game.
Trubisky needs to put on a good performance, or he's going to be benched. He may be benched mid-game for Kenny Pickett.
Mike Tomlin apparently doesn't trust, or not Mike Tomlin, their offensive coordinator.
Mike Tomlin, I think, is in charge of that.
No, no, his last name's Canada.
Oh, Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator.
He does not let Mitch Trubisky audible.
Yeah. So
at all.
There's a lack of trust in their quarterback. Never a good thing at all. That's probably the first sign of failure for a team. Browns, Falcons. I don't really have anything
either.
on that.
That
The Browns have been boring this year.
Boring. Boo.
The Falcons need a spark. They have talent. They just have nothing going on. Marcus Mariota has not looked amazing, so we'll see if he can step it up. Colts just beat the Chiefs. They're playing the Titans, so Colts look to extend their streak to 2. Commanders, Cowboys, Cooper Rush.
As our teammate Matt Roman has put it, every time Carson Wentz is in the game, something will happen. Might not be good, might be really bad, but he will make stuff happen.
Carson Wentz, we're talking about? Yeah. He will definitely have a good or a bad play. He will be facing off against Cooper Rush, who is 3-0 as a starting NFL quarterback. Cardinals, Panthers, Kyler Murray needs this one. He needs to step up his game because he's been...
Could possibly be another boring football game, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what is going to be a boring game. The Denver Broncos and the Raiders. That's going to be really boring, and I don't want to watch it.
I think it may be okay because it's a divisional rivalry.
The Packers and the Patriots will probably be a bloodbath, considering I think Brian Hoyer starting in New England.
Rodgers goes off. I think he has 3 touchdown passes, and they beat the Patriots.
Tampa gets their second Sunday night game in 4 weeks.
On paper, this is going to be
Chiefs.
a fantastic game. Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl rematch.
The Hurricane, they might be playing in Miami. They might not be playing. We don't really know.
Yeah, so that's up for debate.
And then Monday night, 49ers and Rams.
The Rams should have that one pretty easily.
Matthew Stafford's heat-seeking elbow that only throws to Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee will be on full display.
Students of the game.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G hopes.
Jimmy Orvlosky.
Let's hope he doesn't step out the back of the end zone.
Yep. That's it for us. This has been Film Talk Football. I'm Russell Nelson.
And I'm Turner Keck.
We'll see you next week.